So what do you do when you feel like God is not answering your prayer? I hope at the end of this testimony that you would lean towards trusting in our God. And so about 20 years ago, my mom and I were on the same pathway of a spiritual transformation, a spiritual awakening. For me, I chose to follow Jesus, and she chose to follow Buddhism, Buddha, and in the Theravada meditation. And so we were kind of side by side progressing in learning more about our faith and growing, and so also at this point I felt like we drew a line and we're kind of like trying to get each other to understand each other's point of view. And so many times I had prayed and asked God, I said, Lord, if only she knew who you are, the good Father that you are, that I've seen and have given my whole heart, my whole life to. And I want her to gain the same freedom, even though I've seen changes in her life too as she's pursuing this meditation. But I want her to know this person, that who God is, So 10 years pass, she decides to become a Buddhist nun. And at this point, I was so mad at God. I remember kneeling in my room and just banging on the floorboards of my room and just being so angry at God, saying, Lord, I have asked you for one prayer, that my mom would see you. I know that if she saw you, that she would turn her heart towards you, but nothing. And so as I flew into Indonesia, Jakarta, where she lives, seeing her hair being shaved off, and as the hair just falls on the ground, I just felt my heart break into so many different pieces. I came home a week later, talking to David, my husband, and I didn't have the faith to pray. I was just so mad and angry at God. That he didn't hear my prayer, that he was too busy to hear my prayer, and I was just so disappointed. So at this point, David said, well, let's just pray for her. So we held hands and he prayed and he said, God, I just pray that you would send an authentic Christian to my mom in Burma, and that you would meet her where she's at. And so that was that. A year later, Dave and I have decided to kind of give up or give a year of our lives to being trained as missionaries with YWAM. It was during the 50th anniversary in 2010. And I remember being here with the hustle and bustle of everything, and people were asking you to sign up for different activities. And I remember God speaking to me and said, I want you to sign up to run around the island. That's one. And the other one was to hold a flag representing a nation and praying for that nation. And so I remember being at the rehearsal at the flagpoles, and this one woman, tall African lady, stood out to me, and she was holding a Burmese flag. And she's like, I know, I'm not Burmese, but I love the nation. And I remember being so drawn to her, so I walked up to her and I said, hey, my name is so-and-so, like, my mom's a Buddhist nun and she goes to Burma a lot. I wonder, if you know of her. And she looked at me, as she's listening to me describe just who I am, she held onto my hand and she said, what is your mother's name? And I said, oh, her name is so-and-so and so, and her eyes just grew bigger. And she said, I know your mother. And at this point, all the lies that I had believed in start to fall away. I had tears in my eyes, and I just couldn't believe. I felt like God was reminding me of the prayer that we prayed a year ago of sending an authentic Christian. And for me to meet her here was just mind-boggling. And so we just immediately forgot about what's going on. We sat down, we started talking. She's like, tell me your side of the story, and tell me your side of the story. And so finding out about her, she had decided to stay in Burma after a DTS, a discipleship training school, for another 9 months to teach English. One of her students had invited her to go to a Buddhist retreat center for women only. So you know it's very what do you call it? It's very private, and you can only be Burmese, you can only be Buddhist to be able to even go there. But the fact that she was a guest, she was invited there. So they had to take a bus ride, and like a long bus ride to even get there, like a few hours, and then walk into this forest retreat. And what was crazy was that Shimin, my friend, the tall African lady, she was walking around the retreat center, and my mom had walked down at the same time, and they just was drawn together and realized that there were the only people that spoke English there. They had a great conversation, and my mom later on told me that there was only a few people in her lifetime that she felt instantly connected to, and Shimin was one of them. And so they exchanged phone numbers and everything, and Shimin showed me like where my mom had wrote her information. And I actually asked one of my friends who was a mathematician to figure out what the facts are, you know, for me to come here, to meet like thousands of people here, and to bump into someone who met my mom like that. She was quickly doing the numbers. Like she was like, this is impossible for you to meet that person so and so at that moment, at that time, because so many variations that could go wrong, you know. And so we were like just praising God. And I think from that moment, my faith for any kind of prayer was instantly lifted. Like God didn't have to show me the behind the scenes of what's going on. He didn't have to allow me to meet Shimin, but he did, you know. And so I hope that this testimony will encourage you that don't lose hope. Trust in him. Trust not in the process, but trust in who he is, that he listens to your prayer, that he's not too busy to listen to you.